Arthur Hillman heard a blood-curdling scream and knew something was wrong. He rushed out of his house and was shocked to see a teenage girl with multiple stab wounds on his lawn. "Help me," Kirsten pleaded. "I've been stabbed." Then she fell into Hillman's arms. He asked her who did it, but Kirsten couldn't answer. She was far too weak.
Abnormia.
Welcome to Murder You, an Abnormia original, a true crime series exploring the most shocking murders worldwide. I'm your host, Maddie. This week's episode is the cheerleader killing. Before we begin, please like and subscribe to our channel for all the latest Murder You content. Let's get started.
Today we're diving into a 1984 case that's straight out of a Lifetime TV movie. In fact, Lifetime did base a film on it in 1994 called Death of a Cheerleader, starring 90s TV icon Tori Spelling. The movie became a cult classic for true crime fans and was even remade in 2019. So, what's captivated true crime fans for over 40 years? Well, it's a case of jealousy, deceit, and yes, cheerleading. The most unsettling part, Kirsten Costas, was killed in cold blood, and her killer walks free today.
Kirsten was born to Barrett and Arthur Costas on July 23, 1968, in affluent Orinda, California. Many families there were wealthy. Carol Pogash, a student who later wrote about Kirsten's case, noted that local teens' parents drove expensive BMWs and were wealthy enough to provide their kids with extraordinary opportunities. During her teenage years, Kirsten attracted attention with her petite stature and impeccably styled short, dark hair. At Miramonte High School, she became known as a highly sociable individual. She swam on the school team, worked in the student office, joined the cheerleading squad, and engaged in many other activities. She was popular and well-liked thanks to her confidence, humor, and outgoing nature. Her clique was known as the Loud Crowd because they were recognizable wherever they went. One classmate mentioned in an interview, "I remember watching her after she became a cheerleader. Everyone wanted to be like her." Cheerleading was taken seriously at Miramonte. Girls who tried out had to write an essay explaining what they would add to the team if they made it. And the way they found out if they made the team was rather unique. Those who tried out for the team learned if they made the cut at an award ceremony where veteran cheerleaders opened envelopes and read the names of new members who were presented with roses. I can imagine how devastating it would be if you didn't make the team. The girls who made the squad also had to pay $500 for uniforms and cheer camp, so Kirsten was lucky her family could cover those costs. But she wasn't just a rich girl who cared about cheerleading and popularity. She cared about her grades and wanted to better the world. In addition to her extracurriculars, Kirsten was a member of a local volunteer group called the Bobolinks, or Bobbies. Only around 30 girls were accepted, typically the most admired students who also happened to be the most beautiful. It was much like a high school sorority.
On June 21st, 1984, while Kirsten was at cheer camp, her mother got a call from someone claiming to be a fellow Bobbie, inviting Kirsten to a secret initiation dinner that Saturday. When Kirsten returned, her mother shared the invitation. She had no way of knowing it was a setup.
That evening, her parents went to her brother's baseball potluck, and Kirsten waited at home for her ride, utterly unaware of the danger. Hours later, her parents would return to flashing lights and chaos. Kirsten had been found on a neighbor's front porch, bleeding from multiple stab wounds. She died that night, and at first, no one had any idea who could have killed her or why. Police began piecing together her final hours. Kirsten had been picked up for the supposed Bobbie dinner by a friend, but later that evening, she appeared at the home of family friends, the Arnolds. She told Mary Jane Arnold that the friend she came with had gone weird and asked to use their phone to call her parents. No one answered. While Kirsten was on the phone, Mary Jane noticed a blonde girl lurking in the bushes. Kirsten, though, didn't seem alarmed. She just wanted to get to her friend Renee's house. Mary Jane's husband, Alex, offered to drive her.
As Alex gave Kirsten a ride home, he noticed a yellow Ford Pinto following them. Kirsten brushed it off, saying, "It's okay, it's just my friend." But it wasn't. When they arrived at Renee's house, Kirsten got out and began walking toward the door, only to be suddenly attacked by the girl who was following them. What Alex thought were punches were actually brutal stabs. The attacker fled in the Pinto, and Alex tried to follow but lost sight of her. When he returned, Kirsten had managed to stagger to a neighbor's porch, desperately seeking help as she bled out from her wounds.
Horrifyingly, she had first knocked on Renee's door, but Renee, home alone and thinking Kirsten was at the dinner, was too afraid to open the door. The weight of that moment must have haunted her ever since. Investigators focused on the yellow Ford Pinto, but there were plenty of those in Orinda. Police had to run down every lead and question every yellow Pinto owner. Eventually, they landed on the Protti family. Their daughter Bernadette, a fellow Bobbie, drove a yellow Pinto. When questioned, Bernadette claimed she'd been babysitting for neighbors that night. Her parents backed her up. She even passed a polygraph test. Authorities didn't bother to verify her story with the neighbors, and the investigation stalled. Meanwhile, rumors at Miramonte High School spiraled out of control. During the 1980s, there was a thing called the Satanic Panic. According to reporter Carol Progash, one girl who had embraced the punk look became the focus of wild speculation. There was a rumor that she'd killed Kirsten in a satanic ritual. The girl's family, overwhelmed by the harassment, eventually had to leave town. All the while, the real killer remained in plain sight. As leads dried up, investigators eventually decided to recheck Bernadette's babysitting alibi, or rather, check it for the first time since it was never confirmed. They spoke with Johanna Weems, the neighbor Bernadette claimed to have been babysitting for that night. Weems revealed a bombshell. She hadn't asked Bernadette to babysit in over a year before the murder. So let's talk about Protti. Bernadette Protti, who was Kirsten's age, came from a middle-class family, unlike her wealthy classmates. She was one of 6 children. Their home showed wear, such as peeling paint and old furniture. Bernadette was deeply embarrassed by her family's circumstances. Bernadette was accepted and popular in her way, classmate Chris Johnson said in an interview with People, but she had this obsession with being liked. I could never understand why she thought she wasn't. Protti made it into the Bobbies, but viewed it as a consolation prize. She still wasn't embraced by the most popular girls at school, so she set her sights on the ultimate social clique. Bernadette Protti wanted to make the cheerleading team more than anything in the world. Like Kirsten, she tried out that year. She spent all spring practicing, dreaming of that glorious moment that her name would be called at the ceremony. She'd accept her flowers and officially join the ranks of the most popular girls. But Bernadette's name never got called. She had to sit in that audience, watching other girls bask in the spotlight of living her dream. That year, she also applied for the yearbook committee, but was rejected once more. Each setback chipped away at her confidence and fed her jealousy. Bernadette confided to a friend, "I have an inferiority complex. I'm ugly. No guys like me. I'm so deformed. Look at my body, my hair. My clothes are so blah." Her self-loathing ran deep, but she was determined that everyone would know her name, one way or another. That's when she came up with the idea of the fake dinner. 6 months after Kirsten's murder, Bernadette Protti, feeling the walls closing in, handed her parents a sealed letter before leaving for school and told them not to open it until after she left. When they read it, they were stunned. She wrote, "Dear Mom and Dad, I have been trying to tell you this all day, but I love you so much it's too hard, so I'm taking the easy way out. The FBI man thinks I did it, and he is right. I've been able to live with it for a while, but I can't ignore it. It's too much for me, and I can't be that deceiving. Please still love me. I can't live unless you love me. I've ruined my life and yours, and I don't know what to do, and I'm ashamed and scared. P.S. Please don't say, 'How could you?' or 'Why?' because I don't understand this, and I don't know why." Her parents rushed to her school, picked up their daughter, and took her to the police station. At the station, Bernadette told investigators that she wanted to befriend Kirsten, so she planned the fake dinner. But when Kirsten saw her behind the wheel that night, she allegedly said, "Oh, it's you." Bernadette, dressed in sweatpants and clearly unprepared for a fancy dinner, told Kirsten they would attend a party instead. Then, her story took a strange and perhaps questionable turn. Bernadette claimed Kirsten wanted to smoke marijuana in a church parking lot, but she refused. The Costas family adamantly denied that Kirsten would do such a thing, and many believe Bernadette concocted this detail to shift blame to the victim. If it happened at all, it was likely the other way around. According to Bernadette, an argument followed. Kirsten told her she was being weird, a word that stuck in Bernadette's mind and festered. She imagined Kirsten telling others at school about the encounter, mocking her. Bernadette followed Kirsten to the Arnold's house and hid in the bushes. She waited until Alex Arnold gave Kirsten a ride to the neighbors in the yellow Pinto and followed behind them. Somewhere in the car was a 6-inch kitchen knife. Bernadette claimed the knife belonged to her older sister, who kept it in the car for slicing tomatoes at work. But that sounds like a convenient attempt to cover up cold-blooded, premeditated murder. Her sister Virginia backed up the claim about the knife. In any event, Bernadette Protti used the kitchen knife to stab Kirsten multiple times. Bleeding profusely, Kirsten staggered to Renee's house, but her friend didn't answer. She staggered to a nearby home, screaming for help. Arthur Hillman came outside to investigate the noise and found Kirsten in a terrible state. He tried to save her, but she was quickly fading as the ambulance finally arrived.
After the attack, Bernadette jumped in her car and quickly drove away. She cleaned the knife, disposed of her clothes in a nearby dumpster, and went about her life as though nothing happened. She even attended Kirsten's funeral, playing the role of a grieving classmate. So why did she do it? Could fear of ridicule push someone to murder?
Bernadette's resentment toward Kirsten had been simmering. She recalled a ski trip when Kirsten mocked her old, battered equipment. Kirsten's words hit Bernadette like a slap to the face, fueling her obsession. Bernadette's anxiety over how the incident would be perceived was evident in her taped confession. Her first concern wasn't legal consequences, but public humiliation. "What are you going to tell the press?" she asked. "Do I go to juvenile hall or back to Miramonte? I can't live if it is known. I would rather die." Her fear of social disgrace was even greater than her fear of punishment. When her confession was played in court, reactions were mixed. Surprisingly, some spectators felt sympathy. She was a girl crushed by impossible social pressures, desperate to belong in a community where status defined worth. One student commented, "People can get really nasty at this school. Everyone wants to be the best. It's so competitive." Even today, this case sparks debate. Some see Bernadette as a victim of bullying and social pressure. Others view her as a cold-blooded killer who let jealousy consume her. The truth is likely somewhere in between. On April 1st, 1985, Bernadette was found guilty of second-degree murder and sentenced to 8 years in a juvenile facility. You heard that correctly. It only took 8 years. At sentencing, Bernadette Costas declared, Kirsten's hopes and ideals were shattered on June 23, 1984. She was attacked by Bernadette Protti and left in the street to die. Kirsten Costas died just shy of her 16th birthday. Bernadette served her sentence and was released in 1992. She changed her name and began a new life, hoping to escape the shadow of her infamous crime. A Rolling Stone article, Death of a Cheerleader, inspired the Lifetime film of the same name, keeping this case alive in public. Kirsten's classmates always believed she was destined to be known. It's a tragic irony that her name became famous not for her accomplishments and her life, but for the infamous way she died. As for Bernadette, her light sentence is still controversial. Supporters argue she was a fragile girl pushed to the edge. Detractors say she planned her actions too carefully for it to be a momentary lapse of judgment. Consider this. Bernadette orchestrated a fake event to lure Kirsten out and waited for her in the bushes as she tried to escape. She followed the cheerleader relentlessly, knife in hand, and attacked with lethal intent. Afterward, She covered her tracks, disposed of the evidence, and went about her life for months. Whether she planned it weeks in advance or minutes before it happened, Bernadette decided to kill Kirsten and carried out the ruthless act. During her confession, Bernadette spoke of Kirsten almost with reverence. She admired and envied Kirsten and, in a twisted way, wanted to be the popular cheerleader. The social hierarchy at Miramonte High weighed heavily on Bernadette, and Kirsten represented everything Bernadette wanted but could not obtain. The pressure to belong, the obsession with appearance and status, the fear of being invisible, it all built up until it exploded in violence. Over the years, the Costas family has stayed out of the spotlight. They endured unimaginable grief, having lost their daughter in such a senseless way. And what about Renee, the friend Kirsten tried to reach, or Alex Arnold, who saw the attack but couldn't stop it? They too carried the heavy burden of that night, replaying events in their minds, wondering if they could have done more.
The murder of Kirsten Costas left scars on the entire community. The illusion of suburban perfection was shattered, replaced by fear and suspicion. Parents who once felt safe now questioned everything. Teens who once obsessed over social standing saw how far it could drive someone. To this day, the case remains a chilling reminder of how social dynamics can explode into violence.
And as much as people debate Bernadette's motivations, one thing is undeniable. Kirsten Costas deserved better. She was a vibrant, ambitious young woman with dreams and plans who was taken from the world far too soon. So, what do you think? Was Bernadette a desperate girl trying to salvage her reputation, or a jealous, calculating killer who lets envy turn to murder? Let us know in the comments. Until next time. And remember, if you have information or concerns about potential school-related crimes, contact the Crime Stoppers Safe School Hotline to make a secure, anonymous tip at 8221111 or 1-877-903-STOP. It could save lives.
Abnormia.